Boing. Holy crap. Hey guys, our lore video this week is on the Turian species of aliens from the Mass Effect series, the race from which such in-game party members as Garrus and Vetra were born. We'll be going over their history, biology, and place in Mass Effect's galactic stage. As a quick note before we get into anything else, Isaac is still in the flux of moving as of the recording of this video, so you're all stuck with just me today. Also, his moving sort of vacated the room I record in, so if there's an echo, I'm sorry, I'm working on that. So, when discussing a species, the first place to begin is with what they are. The Turians are a sentient bipedal species from the planet Palaven. Despite their obviously alien features and shape, the two most interesting bits of Turian biology are both less immediately obvious to the eyes than features like mandibles or having only 3 digits on each hand. First, Palaven, as a planet, had a very weak magnetic field compared to planets like Earth, meaning that the planet received a great deal more solar radiation than ours. As such, the native species had to adapt in order to survive and thrive. In the Turians' case, this meant the development of metallic plating all along their bodies. This exoskeleton grants Turians a much greater degree of defense against low-level background radiation comparative to, say, humans. But the plating is not durable or thick enough to act as a major form of physical armor. Energy and slug weapons will still puncture a Turian's body just as lethally as most other species. The second major biological thing of note about Turians is that they are one of only 2 known sapient species in the Mass Effect universe that are Dextro-Amino based, the other being the Quarians. For those who don't know, including myself prior to research for this video, humans and all life on Earth are Levo-Amino based. Now if you played the games, you've heard or read the lines on this one. Basically, Turians can't eat human food and vice versa. Depending on the foods, in fact, if you eat stuff from the wrong amino base, it will either pass through the body harmlessly and not be digested, i.e. no nutrients will be pulled from the food, or you'll have some form of allergic reaction ranging from low grade to lethal. Now, I went to research this to clear up some questions and to clarify what the differences between our being Levo-Amino-based and Turians being Dextro-Amino-based actually means, and it turns out that lots of other people have asked questions on this subject. In fact, scientific papers have been done on whether or not Dextro-Amino foods could be processed by Levo-Amino bodies. Were these papers inspired by the games? I neither know nor care, but the fact that they exist is awesome. In my research, I discovered 2 things. First, at a glance, Levo-Aminos and Dextro-Aminos are mirrors of each other, so in theory, the idea that something being good for one would be bad for the other holds up. However, in practice, under research, the odds are much more likely that the body will either pass the opposing amino acid materials without processing them, harmlessly, or, and this is cool, in some cases, the real-life human body is so frickin' awesome, it will transform unusable Dextro-Amino proteins into usable Levo-Amino proteins. Because biology rocks. The second thing I learned is that fan fiction writers have the dedication to look into the science of their writing subjects. And, based upon the questions they ask alone, I have but one thing to say to the internet. Control yourselves! But back to the science, the real-world research indicates that fan fiction-inducing gang comments like this...
Turians based on dextro-amino acids. Human ingestion of tissue could provoke allergic reactions. Anaphylactic shock possible, so don't ingest.
Are likely much more closely linked to the whole interspecies thing than to being an interamino thing. Anyway, straying away from the lemon-flavored side of the internet, as a society, the Turians are an interesting mix of rigidly structured and malleably loose. For the most part, the Turian society is all about structure. Everything in Turian culture has a place, and the Turians are taught, nearly from birth, to be a communal and responsible people, to place the community before the self, the needs of the many outweighing the needs of the few, that sort of thing. Combine this societal philosophy with a similarly ingrained sense of personal accountability, and you create a culture that the rest of the galaxy tends to view as being exceptionally honorable. At the center of this honorable society is the Turian military. The military forces are the core of the Turians' everyday life. That's not to say every Turian is a soldier, but most know which end of a gun to point at an enemy and have had a few years of training. Beyond that, though, considering the Turian sense of communal duty, it is perhaps no surprise that the Turian military is more than just an armed fighting force. To the Turians, the military is a society-encompassing public works engine. For example, the military police are also the civilian police. Firefighting teams serve both civilian and military facilities. Engineers build everything from military posts and fighters to schools, hospitals, and everything in between. And the military even serves to ensure that all Turian worlds get the supplies and resources that they need. In contrast, when it comes to downtime, Turians are allowed to do pretty much whatever they want so long as it doesn't interfere with their duties or anyone else's. Whether that means just slacking off at home or being into hardcore drugs, they don't care, as long as what you're doing doesn't interfere with your duties and the duties of the community. In terms of hierarchy, the Turian government and society is a hierarchical meritocracy, meaning it is a government with ranks and positions of varying importances and powers, like most governments, where an advancement is based solely upon personal merit and capability. In Turian society, there are 27 tiers of citizenship, ranging from Tier 1, civilians, which includes children and client races, all the way up to the Primarchs, who each rule over clusters of systems and vote together in a council concerning matters of grand societal import. Advancement up the ranks of society is determined based upon personal ability, and in the spirit of community and personal responsibility, in the rare case that a Turian is demoted to a lower rank of citizenship, the cultural blame is most often placed upon the officers in charge of promoting the demoted individual, as it is considered their failure for promoting the demoted Turian before he or she was ready to handle the responsibilities that came with the higher citizenship rank. We're going to get into the Turians' history now, but to make that history make a bit more sense, I'm going to give you a super quick primer on Mass Effect's world setup. In the primary Mass Effect trilogy, lots of things change with Andromeda. The galactic stage has the vast majority of intelligent spacefaring races joined together into a single galactic community. Each culture dictates itself, but pays respect to the laws and rules set forth by the Citadel Council. Think of the Council and the government surrounding them as the Galactic UN, only with a lot more power, or as a modern country's government with each spacefaring race being a state or territory. It gives you the basic idea. So, before ever reaching Citadel space, the Turians expanded from their homeworld, colonizing numerous other planets on their own. As time went on, tensions began to rise between the original homeworld Paladin and the outermost colonial worlds, a common theme in science fiction, just as a side note. Cue half the plot lines of the Gundam series. With Turians from various worlds even going so far as adopting facial paintings and markings that differentiated them from their extraplanetary brethren. The tensions that arose eventually broke into all-out warfare, and what later became known as the Unification War had begun. The Turians battled each other for some time until the warlords of the various worlds were exhausted and the forces nearly depleted. It was at this time that the Primarchs, who had elected, as they often do, to let the people handle themselves and sort out their own issues, stepped in and forced the various factions to come together, uniting them as a single Turian people once more under the Turian hierarchy, hence the Unification Wars. As an interesting cultural side note, the Turians would continue to wear the paintings and markings from their various home planets or territories, even after the war finished, as noted by such characters as Garrus, Vetra, or any other Turian you see, most of whom bear some kind of marking. It would turn out to be a very good thing that the Turians united themselves, as when they later appeared on the galactic stage, it was during the Krogan Rebellion. The Krogan were another race of aliens who, after having been technologically uplifted by the Solarians, yet another alien race, and subsequently saving Citadel space from the threat of the Rachni, the galaxy is a big place, there are a lot of aliens. They had turned on everyone else in a bid to take more and more territory, sparking a galactic war. This is a great example of why you never break the Prime Directive, kids. Up to this point, the Krogan had collectively kicked the rest of the galaxy's teeth in, but when they encountered the Turians held firm. They then worked with the Citadel Council in a series of offensives against the Krogan. In response to this, the Krogan bombarded 3 separate Turian worlds from orbit with asteroids and crashed space stations, completely leveling the planets and killing everyone inhabiting them. But while the move was intended to crush the fighting spirit of the Krogan's foe, the Turians, ever a people of unity and community, found their resolve hardened by the assault on their people, and fought all the more fiercely. The Turians' military precision and excellence balanced the Krogan's power and ferocity quite well, but the fact was that the Krogan, capable of essentially Zerg-rushing everything, would have eventually overwhelmed not only the Turians, but the rest of Citadel space as well, were it not for the Solarian-designed genophage, a virus designed to inhibit the Krogan's ability to breed, thus removing their numbers advantage in the long game. The Solarians claimed only to want to use the genophage as a deterrent, but the Turians decided that was foolish, impractical, or perhaps simply naive, and unilaterally deployed the virus, effectively rendering the entire Krogan species nearly sterile, and putting an end to the war, though cleanup confrontations would go on for some time. These actions, as well as the Turians' continued loyalty and duty to their and the Citadel Council's causes over the following years, eventually landed them a spot on the Citadel Council itself, giving them a direct voice at the heart of the most powerful governing body in the galaxy, one of only 4 races to date to do so. Sometime later, the Turians made first galactic contact with humanity. It was not a peaceful affair. The Rachni that threatened the galaxy prior to the Krogan's intervention, which in turn led to the Krogan threat to the galaxy, ultimately happened, historically speaking, because of the unregulated use of Mass Effect relays. The relays, for those not familiar with Mass Effect, were essentially giant space slingshots, and while spacefaring races had massively fast ships, the galactic commerce and community that existed in Mass Effect's Milky Way would not have been possible without the Mass Effect relays. The thing was, as not all relays across the galaxy had been discovered, when a new one was found and activated, it was opening Citadel space to an unknown sector of the galaxy, which, while exciting, was also dangerous. In the wake of the Rachni Wars and the Krogan Rebellion, which started because a Mass Effect relay had been opened into Rachni space, very strict rules about activating dormant and unknown relays were put into place by the Citadel Council. Contrastingly, humanity, new to the galactic scene and as yet never having met any other alien species, nor having the history of hard lessons learned by the people of Council space, had a policy of activating every Mass Effect relay they found in order to expand the area and resources available to them. At some point, this policy brought them into contact with the Turians. At this point in history, the Turians were not only members of the Citadel Council, they were the de facto police force for all of Citadel space, and the greatest single military force in the galaxy in terms of sheer size and scope. So, when the Turians found a heretofore unknown alien race activating a dormant Mass Effect relay, they opened fire. Only one human ship escaped the encounter, and it fled to a nearby human colony to warn the rest of humanity of hostile aliens. The Turian forces followed, subdued the human colony, and presumed themselves victorious, thinking they had defeated the bulk of humanity's military forces. When humanity's true military struck back and ousted the Turians from the galaxy, the Turian war machine began readying for full-scale war with this as-yet unknown alien force. And when the largest military in the galaxy readies for full-scale war, there is no way that the rest of the galaxy doesn't take notice. Thus, humanity was introduced to the galactic stage. Thankfully for everyone, but mostly the humans, the Citadel Council brokered a peaceful resolution to the conflict, which was good, because the fledgling forces of humanity would have been no match for the full force of the Turians' armies. And that's basically the story of the Turians. They would go on to fight hard side by side with humans, Krogans, and anyone else with an ounce of sense against the invasion of the Reapers, but most of that story belongs to Commander Shepard, not to any single government or people. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave us a like, and if you have ideas for what videos you'd like to see us do in the future, be they lore or let's play, let us know what you'd like to see in the comments down below. Plus, if you'd like to see more videos from us in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, guys, this has been Two Men and a Mic, signing off.
Hey guys, you can click the link in the left for our last lore video.
You can click the link on the right for our last Let's Play.
And right here in the middle, that orb, you can hit that to subscribe.
Also, ring the bell if you want to be notified when we post a new video.
This is Two Men and a Mic. Thanks for watching.